All right, here today with Mitch Pike, MetamorphHPC. Super excited to have you on the call today. Mitch has been one of the early members of the Real Movement project, and it's been an amazing transformation. Some of you guys have probably seen the facility that he's opened and seen that successful side of it, the last piece of the puzzle, I guess. But what we want to go through today is what it's taken to get to this point, and talk a little bit about the journey, and also touch on strength training and performance, because that's really the foundation of the success and the excitement around MetamorphHPC and the new facility is really that the results that are possible and that are going to come out of there, and they've started already. So thanks heaps for coming on, Mitch.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks for having me, man.
Awesome. So just for guys who don't necessarily haven't heard your story yet, tell us a little bit about pre-PT. What was the Mitch Pike's life like in that time?
Yeah, it was a fun one, actually. So I finished school in Canberra. Grew up in Canberra my whole life. I was playing footy since about the age of 6. I was footy all through school. Finished school, didn't really have much direction. Kept playing footy. Busted about 4 or 5 shoulders. Ended up having 4 surgeries, which held me back. I had to battle sort of a lot of demons and issues from that aspect all through growing up. So it was sort of with that sort of thing where I sort of found my way into the fitness industry, you could say.
Did you think you were going to play NRL? Were you like...
No, man, I always wanted to. I always had a picture of Sonny Bill up on my wall, and I always aspired to be like him, and I was like, I'm never going to stop training until I look like him. So I had him up on my wall, man, for like 3 or 4 years, and he was sort of my inspiration. I was more about sort of body composition back then, you could say, and I think that's what would have hampered a lot of my progress. But I've since definitely changed that aspect.
Yeah, we can get into your performance training, because you're getting to some super high levels in terms of powerlifting, but also mixing up some bodyweight training and that.
That's it for sure.
We'll go into some detail on that later on, because I'm sure a lot of people are sort of curious about how to sort of get that done. But let's talk through when did you make the decision, I want to be a personal trainer, and what was the motivation at that time?
As I said, I battled a lot of demons, you could say, and then was working with a psychiatrist, and they sort of said that exercise is the best way to go. And I've always been physically active.
Yep.
I never looked at it as a career, but I knew I was always good at sort of teaching it and that sort of thing. So I just sort of decision to sort of get my life back on track.
So you'd already been training pretty hard in the gym, and
so I was training. I wasn't getting I'd been through a lot of surgeries and stuff, so I wasn't sort of at any peak level or anything like that. But it was always sort of back down to the bottom, back up to the top. Just the yo-yo effect, and I think that took its toll, definitely.
Yeah.
But there was a sort of a snap point, and I was just like enrolled in the PT course, and then did work experience at a strength and conditioning gym, Real Fit in Canberra.
Yep.
And that sort of changed my whole aspect on.
You're onto the real already then.
Mate, it was unreal. I learned more in sort of a couple of weeks as I did in sort of all my years, and then sort of since then it's sort of just been uphill. It's been awesome, man. So
awesome. So what were you doing before? Did you have other jobs before you got into the personal training?
So I did security from the age of about 18. So late nights, didn't really work during the week. Sort of fell into that alcohol, partying, weekends sort of thing. I did that for sort of 4 or 5 years. Never sort of held a stable job or anything like that. And that could have added to the sort of the snap point of going, all right, let's sort of clean up our act, and
something had to change.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's a massive environment shift, going from doors of nightclubs and that kind of scene to Anytime Fitness. Was that where you started?
Yeah, I started at Anytime Fitness.
So what was? Did you already train there, or?
I trained there. I trained at just down at my local Anytime Fitness.
Okay.
As soon as I got the PT certs, I was lucky enough to get a job straight out in a full-time position. So that did me really well for about just over a year.
Yep.
So about 14 months. that was awesome. Got to work with a wide range of clients.
Yep.
And yeah, it sort of just over that time, I started to get more interested in mindset as well as nutrition. So I did a few courses and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Was really.
You did a ton of courses, right, through that 14 months.
Yeah, I did.
Do you want to tell the guys some of the stuff that you did?
Yeah, so it all sort of started. I went up and saw Seb Bouris, a lot of you know him as Australian strength coach. I used to follow him on Instagram religiously, and because I was just all about maximal lifting, not much else. Went up and saw him, and then as soon as I left there, I was like, I want your job. I want to do what you do. So
where was he out of at that time? Was he at Unity or?
He was at Unity. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just in awe. He taught me a few things, and it was just like, I'm gonna have your job, and that's sort of what I want to do, and I wanted to go down that performance aspect.
Yep.
And I knew that nutrition and a lot of that deeper sort of stuff was a weakness of mine. So I started to sort of venture into educational courses and that sort of thing, and just sort of tried to create my own sort of holistic approach to being able to educate people and coach people and that sort of thing.
Yep. And so did you feel?
That was over the space of about 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And then that's when I followed you on Instagram, liked what you did. Sort of spoke to you, and that's when I joined the integrative strength group. So that was in September of last year.
Yeah.
So that was probably, as soon as I sort of joined that, I was on a roll of about 3 months. And then Strength Essentials in Sydney was probably the best educational course I ever did. Met a lot of cool dudes. Started the internship.
Yeah.
Did the internship. And then it just, I couldn't really imagine where I'd be sort of without the group, and without sort of the last 6 to 8 months. It's been awesome.
So that integrative strength it was initially Strength Coach Academy, then Integrative Strength Coach, and now it's the Real Movement Master Coach community. So that's the level 3 program that you're a part of. So when did it actually occur to you that you might have your own facility? Was that always in the back of your mind when you went into any time after sort of seeing Seb or Eb, and when did that when did that idea hatch, I guess?
I'd always wanted to do it, but
okay, even when you were a bouncer?
No, probably not.
Okay.
I didn't really have much direction then. Once I met Seb, and once I started my work experience at a strength gym, I was like, this is, I'm going to have a good crack at this.
Yep.
But I didn't really think that I would have opened my facility. I think it was my own awareness of where I was and what was possible. So I didn't really start to pick that up until, I'd say, when I got back from the internship.
Yeah.
So that was the ISC internship, and met a lot of cool dudes there. And as soon as I got back, I started my blog, and then it sort of, I was lucky enough to sort of go on a ride from there. So
it was a pretty cool group that we had there. Like at that one, we had Travis Roach, who was in NRL systems for a long time. Luke Edgell, who's got a good business, sort of developing PTs, has sort of been his role. Benny Thompson, who's got movement enhanced now, that's really kicking on, and a lot of online coaching. Barton McGuckin, who's got a couple of places in Melbourne, snaps that he runs, and had a good business in Brisbane. It's probably the best lifestyle in PT that I've come across. Who else do we have there? Duncan from New Zealand, who's got 2 facilities and running a New Zealand rugby team. And Lee, who's doing well out of Fitness First, and he's taken a few big steps as well, pushing for NRL internships, and he's taken on a degree now as well. So he wants to get his degree, so that he really focused on getting into professional sport. He's made some big decisions there, which are not easy to make. When you're getting closer to 30 than 20. It's a pretty cool crew. Did you feel like, I guess you guys spent a lot of time together, in between the sessions, and sort of living together, I guess, for a few days?
Yeah, I think that was the most powerful part of the whole education. Yeah, like the education, getting to hang out with guys like that. I think I never got the opportunity to hang out with a lot of people that I would have thought were well above me in terms of that strength sort of community type feel.
Yeah.
And hanging out with guys that you just feel completely out of your own depths and you nearly feel like you're not worthy of it. But learning from those guys, man, I come back and was just, pumped. It was, definitely probably one of the best experiences of my life. So I definitely, give a lot of credit to that weekend away for sure.
The social environment's so powerful. That's always been a foundation. Like with the footy, with the Kettle and Dragons, and then the Roosters. When I worked with the teams, it was always about trying to set that right environment up, and that's what I've tried to bring to the Real Movement 3, program. Is that we set up that good environment, socially, supportive but challenging environment, where everyone feels like they need to do a little bit more to sort of express what they've got. And you definitely weren't out of your depth in terms of the training there, but I guess some of those guys had gone a lot further in terms of businesses, some of them running 2 or 3 gyms and that sort of stuff, which probably opened your mind up to that. And they weren't necessarily the guys who were strongest within the group or within the community either, that are really doing well there. So I guess that helps to get that clearer and sort of think about, I can go further with this.
Yeah, it was definitely an eye-opener, especially, I still talk to a lot of those guys, especially Benny Thompson.
Yeah.
We always bounce ideas off each other. And
he's trying to get as strong as you now.
Yeah, I need to get as mobile as him.
Yeah, and that's what we want, that's the ideal scenario. You'd be sort of bouncing off each other and, working it out how to go to the next level.
Yeah, I think it was taking that whole, you go up there and see how, I was never valued mobility, flexibility, probably till the time that I went to that internship. And as soon as I come back, it was just, I prioritised it and I just learned of the benefits. And, I think it was if you're always sort of holding back, not focusing on your weaknesses and just keep developing your strength, and, you're always going to be stuck and be brought back to sort of what's holding you back from that long-term progression. Yeah.
I think you had a couple of niggles at that time as well, didn't you? That you seem to be.
So, did my shoulder and knee, trying to attempt a bar muscle up. So I did my 4th shoulder. I actually thought I was done for then. I was shattered. And then meniscus in my knee. So the knee's still bad, but I'm going to try and hold that out till next year to get surgery. But one thing, that bicep prone stretch you showed me up there on the ground, that was, I couldn't press anything above my head for a couple of months, and then you showed me that stretch, and the week later I was pressing 100 kilos above my head, no pain. To think that something could have been going on for so long, with such thing as a tight bicep, which would make sense due to the amount of shoulder injuries I had, was crazy. So it was just, continual learning curve. I think that's the best thing about sort of the group and the environment that we're a part of. Is it's just, if you've got a question, you ask it, you get it answered. It's unreal.
That was the same stretch that really made a massive difference for me. So it's important. I guess that's part of the deal of kind of practicing what you preach and continuing being challenged. And you guys are definitely challenging me to keep my standards up as well. And I'm almost the old man in the group. There's a couple that have got me covered, but I've got to try and keep up and keep developing as well, because I know that if I can do that, then the standards within the community, and then flow on effect into the gyms that you guys are setting up, and the PTs, the clients you're working with and the teams you're working with, are going to continue to rise as well. So we're doing that all together, which is really, really, really cool. Let's get into some of the details about getting that gym. So when did you when was it like, I'm definitely getting a gym? What did it take to say this is actually going to happen, and start sort of looking for facilities? And
alright, so I got back from the internship. I'll keep going back to that because it was probably like the point. Got back from that, and I think I spent the next couple of months watching Bob Proctor videos on a Saturday night, just
bit of a change from the bouncing to one of the world's best success coaches that we work with.
Just kept watching that, and I just started to realise sort of what was possible and what was sort of holding me back, because I knew that just from the past, I'd have all these old demons that would pop up and be pulling me back and trying to sort of, not from progressing me on.
Yeah.
So I was just sort of said to myself, probably early December, I was like, all right, I'm going to do everything that, I'm really scared of. So I was like, what's my biggest fear? Jumping out of a plane. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go do that. Did that, and then...
Yeah, right. I didn't even know about that.
Oh, yeah?
No.
I did.
Yeah, wow.
I was down the coast, and my sister's like, we were talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And she didn't believe me, but yeah, as soon as I did that, ever since sort of December, I just, and anything that I'd sort of would come up and I'd feel like it was pulling me back, I'd be like, all right, let's do it. So I sort of, about February, I put a post up and was like, I gym up in a couple of months. And at that time, I was just, people talk about when they get kept up at night with like dreams and things that are like really getting to them. Just no sleep, just every night I'd be that pumped to get it sorted. And yeah, it's happened really, really fast, but it's good because it's got me out of my comfort zone and just that continual learning.
Yep.
Progression and stuff, yeah.
So when you were looking for the venue, let's get down to some nuts and bolts about it. Looking for the venue, what were you looking for? And how was that process?
Yeah, so I wanted a facility that housed, because I was getting the gear from AlphaFit, I wanted something that incorporated a lot of, you could call it functional movement, a lot of the keeping it basic, but also adding a lot of the strongman gear and a lot of the conditioning gear as well. So just like a strength and conditioning facility.
Yep. So
I wanted that in like a warehouse type environment. So I looked for somewhere that was just about 130 squares I ended up looking for.
Yep.
Just in a concrete sort of block, and was looking to build a mezzanine and stuff on top. The first one I nearly signed the lease was going to move in a few weeks, and it sort of got held back. And then there was one literally across the road that was 170 squares, same price, with the mezzanine built. And I couldn't even believe it. I went up to have a look and looked in it, and I was like, this is perfect. I'm like, let's do it.
So you're pretty disappointed about the first one.
Very.
But it was a blessing, a massive blessing, eh?
It was a blessing, yeah, because it's literally across the road.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. But everything's set up, and it was a lot easier to sort of set up and that sort of thing. So
yeah, you got the lease. What about? Do you want to talk a little bit about the finance side of things? Because obviously that's, guys who are watching this who want to have a facility, they're all going to be thinking, well, I just don't have enough capital. I need to get 150K together or something, and
Yeah. So initially, I had 40, but it got sort of taken down to 30, and I wanted to sort of try and do it with that 30 because I had another few bills and stuff come up. So, I initially, if someone was to say you're opening your own business, I'd say, look, you need at least 50 to 100 grand. The gear cost me about 20, and then it was about 10 grand for everything else.
You got a bit of a discount there, or what?
Yeah. So I got a good deal with the AlphaFit. I was pretty happy with all the gear. Like it looks schmick, and got all the strongman gear, all the conditioning gear. So I'm pretty happy.
It's cool how they got the colours and the good finish on the bars and that sort of stuff, hey?
Yeah, so I'm a massive Shark supporter, so the colours fit in perfect.
Yeah, right. That's the motivation behind the blue and black, is it? Or
that's all the motivation behind it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I never knew that either. You always get new stuff when you do these. Even though we talk, always new stuff comes out when I do the podcasts. So yeah, Jamie, the owner of AlphaFit, someone that I've worked with a bit over the last couple of years, and he's helped me out with setting up my place up here on the near Byron Bay. A lot of the strongman gear, and we've had some amazing sessions out of my place, and I really value the fact that they value quality. I'm not going to hide that, and he's definitely supported me with some stuff. But the reason why I asked him to support me was because I saw that he values quality. He came into the Roosters to do a quote to sort of upgrade the Roosters gym, and I'd already decided at that point that I was leaving for the next year, but I just went to check out what he was what he was going to offer and what he was going to say. And my experience with the gear guys was average. We'd done a lot of stuff through Iron Edge, and I wasn't really that happy with the quality of the gear. Their sales and stuff was really good. I like their branding, but the gear wasn't really all it was cracked up to be, I didn't think. So it was really cool to hear him talk about all the details of how they build things. And then you can really see that, especially in the strongman gear. Like obviously the rigs are really good, but the strongman gear is like where you can actually put some detail into stuff. And I really love the farmer's walk implements. Like everything is just designed like to work really well, and so you can't drop them on your feet. And have you got the Prowler wheelbarrow? Yeah. So you can do it as a wheelbarrow or as a push sled.
For sure, yeah. Those farmers handles are use them every day. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not just to be open about that. There is a bit of a relationship going there with AlphaFit. For those who are watching, but it's we're doing that because we want a quality manufacturer that does really good stuff, and I believe that's where they're at. So it's good that you've had a good experience with them. I know there's other guys in the community who've done that as well. So that's a positive thing I think that we've set up, and hopefully continue to grow and be a bigger support for you guys as we go along.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy I sort of went with them. If not for the colour, the quality.
They do have custom colours, so people who aren't Sharkies fans could...
Yeah, I nearly got orange, actually, because I initially had the branding as orange.
Yeah,
I got a good Jess Norton from Canberra, who's really good. She's Alan Romero's partner. She did my branding for me, so she's unreal, man. She's super happy with it. So
your branding's really sharp. It's been super good. It's
definitely happy that I didn't get orange.
It's good as a highlight color. It's still good to, you can use little bits of orange within your branding and stuff. Fits well with the blue, which is a bit gentler. But that's probably a good move. If that shirt was orange, we probably wouldn't be still watching right now.
No.
All right, so we got the gear, we got the venue. What else do we need? We need like a business plan, a model.
Yeah, so
business plans for some people are like a 12-month process that costs them $40,000 in itself. How was that for you? Like putting together, how you were gonna work, function as a business model.
Yeah, well, because I'd taken my focus away from body composition to, in terms of performance, just to performance. I was heavily into the nutrition side of it as well.
Yep.
And now that I was a Bob Proctor fan, I sort of wanted to combine all that. So when I started writing the blogs and stuff, it was more, I'd do one nutrition, one strength, one mindset based one.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed that feel. And I thought there was a gap in the market for that sort of stuff, because you've sort of got either the powerlifting gyms or the run-of-the-mill fitness gyms or the models that just promote training, but there's no sort of attachment, there's no educational feel to it.
Yep.
I know how much I've learned in just this educational type environment. So if you can bring people in there to also train, but to be educated enough to sustain those results and then apply them elsewhere, then you've given them something that no one else sort of has, or they have, but it's, especially not in Canberra.
Yep.
Darren's the only other guys, and there's another gym, Elite Physique, who give that sort of whole sort of package as well.
Yeah, which is obviously where Alan's Elite Physique. So all the real movement guys have trying to go a little bit more holistic in terms of mindset, diet, and some of that physique stuff can be good, but some of it can be quite harmful or disruptive. Both metabolically, health wise, and also mentally. If you kind of get to that shredded shape, then you're always gonna feel a bit fat probably from then on. If you do the stage stuff, and I'm not sure if it is really healthy mental state to be in. I'm able to. I'd say most of the guys in the real movement community aren't counting calories, and I'd say most of them are lean. Just the rigs that were at the internship that you came to was unreal. Travis and Edgel and you and Barton, everyone's got the 8-packs out, doing the strongman work, and I think that's a healthy thing to try and show off that you can get into super shape without being OCD. There's going to be some details at different times, and you may look at calories at different times with different people, but getting to a state where you're able to sort of not stress over food and have a healthy relationship with food is a big challenge. I'd say most people now at some stage in their life have a really unhealthy or destructive relationship with food. I know I've definitely been through that stage of like almost force feeding and some of that sort of stuff. And if we can set up way that people can look and feel, really great without having to completely obsess over that. I think it's a great place to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
So you've got this ethos of mind, performance, and really sound holistic kind of approach to nutrition. Then what about in terms of structuring your sort of the way you're going to bring people into your facility, like open gym versus those groups and whatever?
Yeah, well, when I didn't have the model initially for 6-on-1. It was more to just a facility sort of thing. And then I've realised, I'm like, all right, so what am I going to do? I need to, I thought I'd have a few months, but it ended up only taking sort of 6 to 8 weeks after I initially sort of got all the plans in. And so I wanted that focus of the 6-on-1, which I think has worked really well because it bridges the gap between still keeping that personal touch, but still not as sort of focused as the 1-on-1. I think a lot of people will feed off that community sort of feel, and they have sort of so far, which is pretty cool. And I think that's definitely the way things are going as well, which is really good. But
it's definitely, what I've seen work well in performance. Working rugby league, we would have, 6 would be like the minimum before it starts to get maybe a little bit flat. Any less than 4, and you really had to work hard to motivate the guys. So the external motivation becomes, a bigger thing. Whereas 6 to 12, like I feel like the group would really, pump themselves up and run themselves. But obviously we'll then go, 2 or 3 coaches when we've got that group of 12. So I think, I really think that is a bit of a magic number, that 6 to 1 in terms of what you can get in terms of social environment, and the performance results just flow from that. 6 to 1 is actually a much more valuable service in my mind than 1-to-1. People should be paying more for 6-to-1 than 1-to-1. As I say that to PTs all the time, and they think I'm crazy because obviously in our mechanistic way of looking at money, it doesn't make sense that way. But actually, the service you're going to provide in that 6-to-1 environment is so much more valuable because they're attached to a community. They're seeing the other results. They want to come to see those other people. They're not going to miss as many sessions. So they're actually going to get much bigger performance gains. They're going to see that, oh, well, if this person's doing it, I can probably just go another few reps or another few kilos, or, push ahead to that next body position. That social modeling, that's how we're designed. We're designed as, tribal kind of beings. We exist in communities where we exist well. Social isolation is the biggest risk factor for bad health, so you're breaking that social isolation that a lot of people feel through other areas of their life, which is going to flow onto body composition and mental health and all those things. Like I think it's magic. I think you're doing a great thing. I was just talking to a guy last night from Ireland, Adrian O'Brien. He's got a facility in Limerick, and he's also running 6-to-1. He's got 100 members, and he's tapped it out, and he's got a waiting list now, and I think that's where you're going to be in a very short period of time. Like that's kind of ideal scenario. So he works with quite a few professional guys in sort of the Gaelic football type scene. Like maybe I think he's got 20 to 40 athletes who come in there, and then like 60 sort of general population. And he's killing it. He's getting some really good coaches in there. He's got some of the kettlebell guys, and some of the really good guys from England who coming in to do some workshops. He's done really, really well, and it's pretty much exactly where I see he's 7-8 months in, so that's where I see you then, hopefully. I think that's where it's going to be. So it's a great model, and I think people out there who are thinking about going into gyms or even just with PT, there's some restructuring and some benefits to that I think help the clients, help the the fitness industry, help us to get better results, and also help you to structure your time better, and be able to spend time on your own development and education, so that you keep providing a better service within those fewer hours for you to earn your income, but then you can invest that time in yourself, and that's ideal scenario, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think I like the business model now. Initially, I didn't have much more of a business. I had the business plan was sort of just mocked up. I sort of just wrote it on paper when I got the forms, but it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I sort of dived into it probably maybe not in the right way, but I learnt from it sort of thing. It's just continually every day something will pop up and I'll be like, oh, I didn't really factor that in. So I sort of got to think on my feet, which is, it's good in a way. But
successful people always have that, though. That's Mark Bouris, one of Australia's kind of richest guys who's done best in finance. He was on the board at the Roosters, and he told me that people criticise him sometimes for sort of changing things around too much, changing his mind, changing decisions. And he said, it's not because I'm flippant or don't know what I'm doing. It's just if I see an opportunity and I see a better way of doing things, then I'll go for it. And that's kind of what I've tried to do with the Real Movement stuff. We've had some changes in structure and branding and whatnot, but I think it's all going in a better direction. And so there's no point sticking to something just for the sake of, because that's what you did. If you see a better way, so that's always going to be there. I think, Mitch. You're gonna see those opportunities to improve, and it's going to take them.
I just didn't want to have any sort of emotional attachment to anything that I know. I'll change what I think in a heartbeat if I think I'm wrong. There's no sort of point holding on to something that you've thought is right for sort of so long. I think that's sort of one area I used to just hold on to things and go, oh no, you can't do it this way. That's not right. Whereas now it's more sort of learned through sort of continually educating yourself, and then sort of allowing yourself to be open to the idea that you could have been wrong for ages. And you keep being wrong, you just look like an idiot. But sometimes I'll tell people something, and they'll be like, well, you told me to do it this way last week. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about what I said last week. This is the new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, this works now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's a good place to be, and it's very easy to get locked in our dogma, in strength and conditioning, because you sort of, you get wrapped up in an idea and it becomes part of your identity, and you don't want to let go of that part of your identity that you're sort of attached to. But let's keep on track here. So we've got the facility, we've got the gear, we've got the model, and then getting people. Getting people actually in the door. How nervous were you at that stage? You'd sort of committed, but you didn't know, is anyone actually going to walk through these doors and lift these bars?
Yeah, I was pumped, but really nervous. And I think for the first 2 hours that I was open, initially, I should backtrack a little bit. Initially, I had sort of a model set up of 3 different packages, and then sort of I started with Mario, who did the seminar last week with Winning International, and sort of had a good in-depth conversation with him, and he sort of goes, scrap it, and I was just like, fuck, what do I do? It really threw me, and it's the self-doubt I had for the next couple of days was huge, and we ended up, I worked all through that, and he sort of helped me with a lot of that sort of stuff, which I'm pretty grateful for. And sort of worked out sort of a trial rate, whereas I was just going to jump straight into it. So for anyone interested, it was $97 for the 28 days, which a lot of people see if they go on the website and stuff. I was happy I did that, because I had 46 people sign up, so I would have capped it. I capped it at 50, so I was pretty happy with that. When the first hour I had no one come in, or first 2 hours, and I was like, self-doubt, bad, and then I had 16 people in the space of an hour, and I was like, yeah, cool. And then ended up finishing the day at 24, so my goal was 20, so I was happy with that. And
Day one,
yeah, and then I was pretty pumped, and I was like, all right, my goal's 20. Then it changed to 30, and then Mario's like, let's hit 40. A couple of weeks later, I've got 42, and he's like, well, let's try and hit 50, and 46, so we start on Monday, so maybe I might hit 4 over the weekend.
I'd say you might get a couple after they hear your story today. Some more people will be interested, because you're definitely doing something unique, and there's value in it. That's what people are recognizing that, and it's good that Mario, Winning International, those guys, Mario and Ryan, they've become a part of what I do, and I think they're going to become more and more sort of associated with Real Movement project and helping you guys out. They're business and marketing experts, but they have a really deep meaning behind what they do, and they do it from a place that I haven't really seen business coaching done from. So that's the reason why I've built an association with them, just like AlphaFit, looking for people who are really, really genuinely passionate about what they do, and trying to provide that awesome service. but yeah, I guess they were maybe a little bit interested in pushing you into like the bums and thighs kind of marketing, which is
and I could see how that model worked.
Yeah.
Maybe that was my sort of how I was thinking, where I was like, that's a little bit down the path of body composition instead of I want to do it the other way.
Yeah.
I can see how that sells, and Murray used to tell me, he still tells me, sell them what they want, give them what they need.
Yeah.
That's along those lines, which I really like.
And it's not deceptive as long as they actually get what they want, right? Yeah. So it sounds a little bit, facetious, or, something that wouldn't be ideal, but ultimately you are going to give them, something really amazing that they need.
Yeah, so I sort of had to, work around that, and I guess that's just another thing of getting uncomfortable with decisions you sort of have to make and sort of decide to make and whatnot. It's all worked out now, so I'm grateful for sort of meeting him, because a lot of the marketing side I've got to, get a whole new website, which all the content and all the videos they do is really good. So pumped, and I'm only sort of week 2 of that journey, so I've got sort of another 6 weeks to go. So sort of looking forward to that, and to see what else can be sort of learned and that sort of thing. Yeah,
I think you're going to be in the 7-figure coach program at some stage as well. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal really for me with anyone who opens a facility. We need to work to the point of being a 7-figure business. And the reason why I say that, my background is not at all in finance. I've never really had any money. I spent everything I had on backpacking and then education and whatnot. But now my feeling is that, people are spending money on stuff, and they should, we should be pulling as much of that into health and fitness as we can, and that energy that flows into health and fitness is a really positive step for for society, for humanity, for people to just value their physical body, and then with that we sort of value the mind more, and open things up to learning, and that's why I really feel like we need to be running 7-figure gyms, and that's they're going to be hubs, places where we have freedom to invest in education, to bring in quality coaches, to have quality staff and pay them really well, and really just go way beyond this 24-hour fitness kind of bubble. I think is pretty much burst, and people are realizing that they actually need a coach if they want to get inspiring results and life-changing results. They need to be in an environment where people are actually training well. When you go to the cheapest place, people aren't doing quality training. It's horrendous to watch, in some of the Globo gym environments. So, we want to lift the standards of coach education, and then, lift the standards of public, health and performance. And it's super exciting. Let's get to the details of, like training systems and where people are going to with this stuff.
Yeah, so the training systems for the first month, a lot of the clients that I had in, I wouldn't say one of them were advanced. So it was good because
you got some pretty strong people there. I know your standards are really high, like the standards of the community are really high.
People there, but nothing that you'd sort of, there's still a lot of the basics weren't met.
Yep.
So a lot of it was sort of dialing it back. It was more sort of like a freestyle sort of programming. The loads and stuff for the main strength exercises were all recorded.
Yep.
But a lot of the other stuff was more sort of hammering weak points, teaching people exercises, dialing back the patterns, placing a big emphasis on mobility.
Yep.
Which, a lot of people, I'll post some stuff, but there's guys that were, I can't even describe it, probably the most unflexible person I've ever seen. Just for him to get into a sumo, like just a squat position, holding a kettlebell was just not there. But now it's like over a few weeks of mobility and doing mobility and stuff, he's losing weight by just focusing on that. And
yep.
Yeah, it's pumped, and just the emphasis on mobility is probably the biggest key over the first month.
Yep.
So that you can sort of get those, correct patterns ingrained, and then hopefully start the loading up on Monday, and then.
So the mobility is like the mother, and then the strength is like the father, the force.
Yeah.
You come from the mother.
Yeah.
You get that. You can't get to the positions, and there's no point. There's nowhere to strengthen. Like, you got to be able to get that first.
Yeah. Well, not only a couple were very hesitant, and they were like, I want to do this and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I'm like, you can't do that here. I'm like, you have to wait until you have to earn. Alan says it all the time, like, you earn your stripes in order to do an exercise. Like, you're not going to press above your head if you've got, shit thoracic mobility and and your shoulders are tight. Like, it's just, you're not worthy of that yet. Like, you need to,
And you're actually saving them from pushing themselves down a path that could end up with a surgery or just an impingement that stops them training, stops them even being able to bench press or lift their arm over their head or whatever. Like, it's not just for you to be the big man. It's for the greater good as well, isn't it? Like, it's long term. That's where they need to be.
Yeah. And I mean, I know once they dial it back and they hit those weak points and they start to get more mobile and they get stronger with better patterns, they're going to be like, oh, thank you. But now they won't be able to see it, but I take that for now. And
that's why people need to do 8-week blocks or 12-week blocks, because it does. You do have to sometimes take a little bit of a step back and drill some stuff in. By the end of that time, you can see, well, this is done me the world of good. Like, let's go again. With performance, obviously we're never going to be finished. That's mastery is an asymptote. We get closer and closer to the axis, but we can never actually arrive. So there's always going to be there's always going to be more to work on. But if you lock it in for 2 weeks, it's just not going to, you're not going to give it a chance for your body to sort of respond. And even though some people, will say after 1 or 2 sessions of the mobility stuff that they already feel different in their bodies. But we want to be able to do at least 8 to 12 weeks so people can, experience some of the benefits.
Yeah. And that's probably one thing I've done as well is I haven't put any lock-in contracts on any of my on any of the programs.
Yeah.
So that's sort of one of my selling points. I had a girl she said to me last week, she's like, well, you're going to have to sell it to me. It's a little bit expensive for me. And I said, look, I'm not going to sell it to you. I said, there's no lock-in contract. You try it. If you like it, stay. If you don't, which I don't think you won't, then you can go. And she was sort of shocked by that. And now she's stayed for like the last 4 weeks and she's absolutely pumped. So it's good. I think it's a way to, a lot of the other gyms, they charge monthly and then they have these big contracts on them.
Yep.
So I sort of wanted to dial that back.
Yeah.
As a weekly payment and just do no locking contracts, because I don't want people there if they got financial issues. I know I got to look after myself, but I don't want to hold people in there if they're struggling.
Yep.
So if it's a performance thing and I can't help them, then I haven't done my job properly. So, maybe I might get 1 or 2 out of 100 that, it doesn't, they leave, but, that's the risk we take.
Yeah. And they'll be replaced by others and,
Yeah.
It's, So, let's talk a little bit more about performance in terms of your own training. Like, tell us a bit about sort of where you've been focused, some numbers, where it's going.
All right. Well, I started when I come back. Maybe when was it? July of 2013. July of 2013. Yeah. So just before I started when I started my PT certs, I'd just come back from another injury. So my squat, I benched more than I squatted, which I did for many years actually. I didn't do any lower body. I deadlifted, but not very good for years. And then used to get called chicken legs and blah blah blah.
Standard rugby league protocol. We are trying to change that too, and we did get most of that changed at the Roosters, but I would say it's still probably pretty common for guys to be benching more than they can full squat, since a lot of guys can't full squat as well in professional rugby league. You weren't on your own there, Mitch.
Yeah, I was just, and I hated squatting, I just hated legs and always wore pants and I was, and then I knew, I was like, I'm going to be a PT. I'm going to have to wear shorts. I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't walk around with these things.
That's hilarious.
Like, right, I'm going to start squatting, and I think my squat was at like 100, maybe 130, not to depth by any means. 14 months later, I did 210. But I squatted, 2 or 3 times a week, and just that's all I did.
Yeah.
And I still got. I don't have big legs, but at least I can. Don't have to hide them anymore.
You're not scared of wearing a pair of shorts.
Yeah, so I started with that. that's when I took more of a focus towards actually performance.
Yep.
As opposed to body composition, because I just bench 4 times a week.
And how did your body composition change when you did that?
I definitely got big. I was stuck at probably 105 kilos, 106 for probably 3 years, from 19 to about 22. Couldn't move up probably because I didn't squat or deadlift. So once I did that, I got to about 110, 111, which I've stayed sort of at that weight for the last sort of couple of years. But yeah, like in terms of like strength numbers, the last couple of years I've put probably my squat's at 230 now. So
yep.
Close to 100 kilos on a squat in a couple of years or a few years. Deadlift about 270.
Yep.
And bench is at 170 as well, or 170. So yeah, my numbers are they're good, but I'm always sort of looking to sort of go beyond that. Like I'm heavier, so it's not as good as a lot of the lighter dudes.
Are you looking to compete?
Yeah, I want to sort of compete. So I've just started. I've been training with Amir Fazeli from Adonis Athletics.
Yeah. Yeah, I went and did a session with him to pick up my deadlift as well. I think he's definitely a smart dude when it comes to lifting massive weights.
Yeah, and he's got a PhD as well as
yeah.
He's got a master's as well as being a world record holder as of last week. So that's the epitome of what I'd love to be.
What's his like 312?
316, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is it's like 83 kilos.
Yeah, deadlift.
His sumo deadlift pattern, it is like perfect.
Yeah, every rep you see from him looks like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he's repping out 260 and stuff, it's like.
yeah. So that's where I started. I was training with Seb actually.
Yep.
He changed my squat pattern. So my squat was 207 box because I stuffed my knee. So a normal squat maybe 195, maybe 200. I always squatted like a lot more than what I normal squatted. So I just saw him. He completely changed my squat pattern. Squat sort of took a back step for a while. Got my bench up from. I think I was stuck at about 150 for a while, and got that up sort of 10 kilos as soon as I went to see him. He just fixed a few technique issues, which I still use to this day.
Yep.
And yeah, then I knew that my deadlift core strength, tight hips, which Benny Thompson pointed out at the internship actually.
Yep.
I'm forever grateful for that because, he did a few things on me and goes, you need to do this, and I focused on that and took the belt off for squatting and deadlifting and didn't do any belt work for probably 3 months. And my deadlift was at 250 with a belt, and I took it off, and now it's perceived at about 270. So I'm pretty happy with that 20 kilos in the space of sort of 5-6 months.
Yeah, 100%.
And just focusing on that sort of getting that pressure correct and learning how to brace properly. And the squat sort of was stuck at 210, 215, and then I got it at 230 fairly fast the other day. So it's just all that, I put it down to all that beltless work.
Yep.
And I know it works for some people, it doesn't for others, but especially prioritizing mobility and learning how to brace properly and having that sort of posterior tilt as opposed to the anterior tilt, which I tried for ages, and I now know that that's wrong. So
yeah, awesome. So let's talk about sort of with the mobility. How are you bringing that into your training? How do you when do you do it? What movements are you focusing on?
Yeah, so I focused on the couch stretch was probably the most important one.
Yep.
So I hammer that out every day. Jefferson curls, just the side sort of adductor stretch, and then working on the stretch through the hammies as well. They're probably my three, the biggest ones that I focus on the most. I've just, since I started talking to you last week, I've started on those skin the cats on the rings as well.
Yep.
It's been good. And then also a lot of like thoracic extension stuff. That's probably the biggest, apart from the hips.
Yep.
That I've focused on a lot. I'm lucky that I've got good dorsiflexion through the ankles, so squatting deep and that's never been a problem, which
yep.
I'm lucky to have. So
Yeah.
It's just sort of continual sort of progressions and learning to, mobility and gymnastic stuff's definitely not my strong point, but I'm trying to sort of, constantly Googling or YouTubing videos and stuff, just like thinking, progressions and that sort of thing. So.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome that you're taking on that stuff as an older guy, not an old guy, but like, someone who's gone a fair way with powerlifting and, 270 dead and those kind of numbers, you don't get by accident. But you're also, working on, the L-sit to handstand, and your mobility, freestanding handstands. You got that bar muscle up. I believe you kind of conquered that one back on the horse.
Yeah, I got 2 of those. I'm pretty lucky. I've been trying that L-sit to handstand actually just to get the lockout for about 4 or 5 months, but I just couldn't get it, and then I dialed it back and just remembered a lot of things that I'd learned about just trying to accumulate the reps and stuff, because I've been doing a lot of reading of just Russian sort of stuff with Pavel and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And just like accumulating reps is
really,
and now it seems fairly a lot easier than what it was.
Yeah.
I was just kept failing and I guess that's why I was holding back for so long.
And that's awesome at 110. I guess it shows, for me, it's not just about the strength that requires, it's the character that goes with it, because it's so uncomfortable for a big guy, but for anyone pretty much to invert and to sort of not know where you are in space and, think potentially about, dropping on your head. Anyone who persists with handstands who didn't have them as a kid, I think it shows a degree of, dedication and a willingness to persist through stuff that's uncomfortable. And, ultimately, if you're going to have a successful business, if you're going to have a success in life, like that is a common trait that, everyone who has success, they will go through that terror barrier, that uncomfortable stuff that no one really, no one deals with naturally, but we have to keep going through it. And so handstands are a thing like that, that can give you that experience of, I call it breakthrough movements, something that you feel like, oh, this is impossible. There's no way I'm ever going to do it. And then you make it happen. And that's whether that's ring muscle ups, whether that's, back somersaults, which is, one that we've been getting all the guys at the internships doing, handstands, juggling is another one. We're using juggling, learning languages, all these things are, I guess, ways to just continue to expand the mental horizon, so that we can, take things further and then, transfer that into our training, transfer that into our business, into our word vision, of just knowing that we can take things to the next level, if we want to, if we put the time into it, then it will work. So it's really cool to see you embracing that and see that, you can do that together with, getting to, really high standards with, you can still be a good specialist, you can be at that national level in powerlifting at the same time as, being able to move a bit, being able to, touch your toes and, to do some other stuff, which, a lot of people get boxed in and then they just never want to show themselves not to be the ultimate expert in something else. And I think it's not a good place to be, when you're kind of scared of taking on something where you might not be seen to be the best. But,
yeah, that's probably, that was a hard, I mean, doing handstands and stuff, I've asked myself so many times, I've got a couple on video that I was like, yeah, it's funny, but I was there yesterday when I did just by myself doing the L-sit to handstand, and I was like jumping up and down after it, and I was like, this is awesome. But I love doing, I think that sort of stuff. I've started to do a lot of handstand and sort of stuff that people can't do in the gym, just like complete beginners, and they're like, I'm not doing a handstand. I'm like, come on, I'll show you.
Yeah.
And they end up doing it, and they're like, oh, this is crazy,
Yeah. And they get such a big buzz out of it because they realize that they're actually more capable than they gave themselves credit for.
Yeah.
We all are. That's the thing. We're all capable of so much more than we actually do. We've got to just explore that potential more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
It's one of the Bob Proctor ones from Steve Bauer. God gave us more talent and ability than we'll ever be able to use. Our gift to God is to use as much of that talent and ability as we can. That's something that stuck with me. I really believe in it. We've whether you believe in God or nature, whatever, we've got a lot of gifts, and the joy of life is in expressing them, taking on those challenges. I believe 100%. It's and I guess for me, in my role is trying to help other people to do that and experience that as often as they can as well. So, there's going to continue to be stuff that is uncomfortable for you, Mitch. And, that's where we know that we're actually doing something good when we're pushing through those things. So,
yeah, I mean, it helps too, like, especially having guys like the community we've got on the Real Movement and the pages and stuff, and just, you have a bad day or whatever, and you got someone there posting like PBs, and everyone gets pumped up, and I think it really helps, like, being in the position, just feeling like you have a lot of guys around you that, make you sort of aspire you to sort of keep sort of progressing on. And especially watching guys do a lot of mobility stuff, or they'll do weightlifting stuff, and they'll be like, oh, I want to be able to do that like that. I'm inspired by those sorts of guys. So, I mean, it's awesome having that environment, and, it's second to none. I don't think you can sort of put a price on a lot of the guys that in the group, and, it's awesome to talk to them sort of on a daily basis and get the information from them, and, bounce off ideas. And I think it's a good thing what we've got going on.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's better than I thought it could be. It's only just been a bit over a year, and I didn't know exactly how it'd work. I knew I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to help as many coaches as I could. But working with that elite group is really super powerful. And now getting out and doing some of the level ones. I might just mention heading over to Ireland and Germany for the level 1 courses. So if you're in Europe and you want to get involved in this, if it makes sense, then the easiest way to start is getting along to one of those live events in Cologne or Ireland. And you can get through them through the workshops tab on coachkeegan.com. Just click on the tab and then choose your event. Then just add the number of tickets that you need, and then add to cart. You can use either the credit card or PayPal details, and it's super discounted at the moment. Early bird prices are still on, so I know you'll get a ton of value. It's definitely priced to make it really accessible. It's the level 1 is super accessible for people to get involved. It's make sure you get along to that if this stuff makes sense to you and you want to take things to the next level as a coach. And then we're also doing the internship in Spain. So Mitch is
I'm coming.
He's just committed to it.
I've never been overseas. Like, I've been to Bali a lot. For New Year's, but I'd come to one, every year if I could.
Yeah, I think.
They're just unreal. Like, I've been to one, and I've been to Strength Essentials, and just a lot of the stuff is just you don't learn it anywhere else, and it's unreal. It's definitely made a massive difference to my life and how I teach things and the priorities and how I prioritize things. So it's good. No,
thanks for saying that, Mitch. I was really excited when you said you're going to come and you hadn't really been to Europe before or anything. It's traveling's been such a massive part of my life and something that's made a huge difference for me. So I got a bit emotional when you sort of said that you were coming, just because I know that it's such a big experience to take yourself overseas and see new stuff, and the freedom and the new thoughts and stuff that come with that as well. Like, I know it's going to open up another sort of window for you, and another level of kind of thinking, a higher level of consciousness, whichever way you want to talk about it, just by going to that new place. So it looks like you're coming. It looks like Nick Bradley, I think, will be coming. He's just joined the community from Soul Train in Sydney, out of Woolloomooloo there. And there's a couple more, but if you're interested in that one's only available sort of through an interview process. Everyone who comes into the master coach community goes through an interview process to make sure it's the right fit for them, but also that you're the right fit for the community. So if you are interested in joining the community that Mitch is a part of, getting along to Spain, or other events that are coming up in Australia, then the opportunity to do that is through Coach Keegan. On the coaching tab, there's a master coach tab where you can enter your details and schedule a phone call. That's, I guess, my mission is to find the right people, find the people who are going to make a big difference, who've got a reason why and are going to do the work. And if that's you, then get in touch. I think that's pretty much, we've covered it pretty well, Mitch. Is there anything else that you want to share with people, or you feel like you need to get out today?
Oh, no, not really. Just if you're ever sort of in the Canberra area, I'd like to come down and check it out. We've got like heaps of guys from the community that come down, and we've got a fair heap of them coming down. Mate,
yeah. Yep.
That would be pretty cool.
Everyone's coming down. Everyone's going to sleep in your gym, and maybe some of them will get a hotel as well. Yeah. They're not all poor students anymore. Yeah, cool. That's.
Yeah, if you're ever sort of in the area, I'll just sort of come down, check it out, say hello, and yeah.
Where is it exactly in Canberra?
It's in Queanbeyan actually, so it's New South Wales, but it's in Canberra.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes from the main sort of from the city, so easily accessible. Just plug it into Google Maps and.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Well, I think we're definitely looking to set up some internships through the facility going forward as well. So that'll be part of what guys who go through the level 1 and 2, can get involved and learn from the best, set themselves up to take things to the next level. See firsthand how to do it, to set up a facility that runs really well with semi-private training and performance approach. And I think that's going to be the next stage. Mitch is sharing what you've got and realizing how much you've got to give. And super pumped for that next phase as well.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. So if people want to get in touch with you or follow, see your breaking record, see your L-sit to handstand, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook as MetamorphHPC Performance, or on Instagram it's Mitch Pike _, but I'll probably end up changing it across soon because it's just stuff to do with the gym. So
yep. Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. If people want to follow stuff with me, coachkeegan.com, Coach Keegan on Instagram, Coach Keegan on Facebook. We've also got Real Movement Project on Instagram, and it's coming up soon. realmovementproject.com will be up any day now, which will be a place where you can learn more about all these coaches who are changing lives and changing the world. So that'll be a place where you'll be able to catch some of Mitch's blogs as well as through his own website, which is
www.metamorphhpc.com.
Not .au?
Not .au.
Okay. hpc.com. Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks heaps for coming on, Mitch. I know that guys are going to get a ton of value out of this. If you did enjoy it, please like, comment, share. Don't be afraid to ask questions if there's things that you want a bit more detail about. I'm sure Mitch will be happy to follow up with anyone with regards to that, and myself as well. I always respond. So awesome.
Thanks, Keys. Appreciate having me.
Champion. Thanks Mitch.
Chat soon.
Yep. See you, mate.